Welcome to the Cricket Badger IPL Daily Podcast 2021. The Indian Premier League 14th edition. It's great to have you with us. From the first match all the way to the final. Chennai Super Kings, Delhi Capitals, Kolkata Knight Riders, Mumbai Indians, Punjab Kings, Rajasthan Royals, Royal Challengers Bangalore, Sunrisers Hyderabad. May the best team win. Brought to you in association with Who Knows Wins. Put your money where your mates are, and play along with the Cricket Badger.
Hello, everybody. Welcome along. It's another edition of the IPL Daily Podcast. We're getting to the end of these. There's not many left because we're getting towards the business end now of IPL 2021. And to join me today to help me talk about a terrific win for KKR against RCB. Goodbye, RCB. That's the last we'll see of them this time around. It's Neil Varani and it's Naman Shah. Gentlemen, how are you?
Yeah, very well. That was a lot tighter than it should have been.
It was. I wondered whether KKR were going to bottle that at the end. They started to get a little bit rocky, Neil, didn't they?
Yeah, but I suppose they had a little bit of reassurance in the experience of the two guys there at the end. I mean, Shakib and Morgan between them have played God knows how many high-pressure situations in international cricket. They're about as experienced a pair as you can get. So
that little paddle four by Shakib, first ball of the final over, that took a little bit of nerve, but it also settled the nerves, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just, that was picking your moment because they didn't take silly chances against Garton. But as soon as Christo came on and, reduction in pace. I mean, he's a canny bowler, but he'll have been feeling it after his over effectively decided the game against Narain. So they waited for the right moment, the right ball, and just executed perfectly. So they didn't have to resort to any risk taking.
Now, man, RCB have been one of the top three sides all the way through this tournament. They've played really well throughout it. KKR have come from not nowhere, but sort of back in the pack through to basically knock them out. It's not a fair playoff system, is it?
Yes, but if you will compare both the sides, I feel KKR were more deserving. They were horrible in the first half, but they came back brilliantly, especially the opening pair. They were struggling throughout the IPL, but I felt the momentum which they needed was provided by Venkatesh Iyer in the right from the start. And that, I feel, balanced the whole side completely. Yes, Morgan was not in form, but he was brilliantly with his captaincy today. I felt he rotated his spinners quite nicely because he knows how ABD and Maxwell, what harm they can do in the middle overs. But I feel that he used Sharan and Varun, used Mandi medium pacers earlier, but kept spinners against these hitters, which was in their favor. I felt at the toss, Morgan was really well at studying the wicket more than Kohli. Kohli felt that it was more of a batting wicket, but Morgan was good at studying the wicket more than Kohli. They stuck to their plans. They used their spinners well. So overall, I feel somewhere RCB should have batted well. They are more capable than this.
Neil, there was a couple of moments in that game where the rules are kind of like thought, is that right? I think it was when Harshal Patel was batting towards the end of RCB's innings, and there was an LBW shout, and it was not out because he got an inside edge onto his pad. It trickled out they went through for a run, and then the umpire's finger went up to give him out LBW, which was blatantly not the case. So it was
horrible.
Overturned on review. But then the run that they got, the legitimate run, the inside edge onto pad that they ran for, got cancelled out. It ended up being a dot ball. I think there was a couple of those occasions in RCB's innings. You had 2 runs to their total in that final over. That could have made a difference, couldn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And as people who watch cricket with an England slant on it, we've seen the most egregious use of that with poor James Taylor in the 2015 World Cup, who got denied a century against Australia by a bad LBW call, becoming a dot ball. I disagree with that. I think possibly it's fairest. I don't know. It's fairest dead ball, but then the ball.
Surely, if you kind of look at other sports, DRS or whatever, the purpose of the review is to get to the right end result. And if the right end result is deemed to be inside edge onto pad, which they ran for, it's a run, isn't it?
I suppose the issue is when does the ball become dead? If he gives it before both runners have made it to the other end, then they haven't completed a run. Maybe the fairest thing
in that instance, he took an age to put his finger up. So I don't know what. Yeah.
Maybe the fairest thing would be like they do with signalling what a runner's for. You know how they wait for the 15 seconds to see if anyone's going to take the review before they say whether it's a leg bye. Maybe they wait for the ball to become naturally dead before giving it out. Because that it would still supersede anything further that happened in terms of a run out or anything. If they did that, I mean that call was a shambles. I have to say I didn't spot the edge, but it hit him like another couple of stumps outside off.
Yeah. I mean, it was obviously in that instance it was a single that they were denied off the bat, but it could have trickled away for four down to final leg, couldn't it? So ultimately, you could, the batting side now, man, could get seriously denied a run there through no fault of their own. It goes to the boundary, it goes off the bat. The umpire gets the decision wrong. He denies the batting side 4 runs potentially.
To be honest, after you brought this up, I thought that I was the only one who noticed this. I did not see anywhere on the Twitter, so I felt that it was my mistake, so I let it go. But since now you are bringing up, I was sure that I noticed that as well. And
I'll tell you how I noticed it, Naman. It was because Harshal Patel's a left-hander. He was on strike, and or it was the right. Sorry, it was the right-hander that was on strike. And then the next ball, Harshal Patel was on strike. They went for a run, and then the next ball, the right-hander wasn't on strike. It was Harshal Patel again. I was thinking they got this wrong. Then I realised that because of the DRS, it had been cancelled.
And also during Shahbaz Ahmed as well, he tried to play reverse sweep, and he was quite sure that he had touched it, and he knocked. It was an edge, so he was surely running towards the other end. So whether umpire is taking a long time or not, but as a batsman, I am sure that I've hit the ball and I'm running for it. Whether you make the decision late or that can be sorted out later, but I am aware that I have scored that run and I'm running for it. So I don't think so. It should be given a dead ball. The right decision should have been made, and there were 2 runs over there. It could have made a difference in such a tight match.
Yeah, I mean T20s, Neil. I mean the whole point of a T20 is it's a condensed game to try and get a final over thriller, and all of these little things in a match can change the result, can't they?
Yeah, I think the fairest thing would be to let the that ball run its course and then make the decision. You don't have to feel pressured to make it straight away. And the 10 seconds additional for people to complete their run, the ball get collected and returned to the wicketkeeper or the bowler. That isn't the thing that's going to make you overrun. It's the excessive time elsewhere. So even I know as soon as I say that, people are going to say, "Oh, but the game's taken too long." That's not the reason. It's like the Big Bashes thing.
Yeah, if a game goes on for an extra 20 seconds to try and get the right result, I think that's okay. It's when you're time wasting and you're getting drinks on non-drinks times and stuff like that. That's what wasted time. Let's move on to Virat Kohli. Virat has captained RCB for the final time. It's not how he would have wanted it to finish. There's plenty of seasons, I think, during his captaincy that haven't quite finished the way he would have wanted them to have finished. But he's going to end his stint without an IPL trophy now, man. He's obviously a fantastic player. He's obviously a decent captain, and he's finished without the trophy.
And he wouldn't have got a better chance than this one. I felt that they were looking good, especially Maxwell and in some parts ABD, but I felt Bharat and all were the real discovery of this IPL, and also the way Harshal Patel has carried them throughout the IPL is just phenomenal. So I felt yes, they deserved it. They could have gone to at least one stage up. They had that team in them. But yes, said for Kohli, overall he has done whatever he can, and I feel he has taken the right decision. Uh, it's like more like many years, right? So he has introspected it, and maybe he has realized that he's more of good for as a batsman and not as a captainship to lead the RCB. Maybe he can handle the baton to some other one who can do better than him. But overall, like terrific performance by him as well as a captain for RCB. It's not that. Yes, he has not won trophy, but he has done his best. Not to criticize him for his captaincy, but yes, he should have won today. I feel sad for him.
I mean, it's only 14 years, but he goes down in the history books of the IPL for his services to RCB as their leader. I mean, that Naman's right. He's obviously got to try and balance his life. He's got kids now. He's married. His life's moved on. He's got a lot to do. He's still captain of India in all formats at the moment. He's not going to be captain in the T20Is after the World T20 World Cup, but he's still got quite a lot on his plate, Neil, isn't he? It's not like he's giving up the RCB captaincy to do nothing.
Yeah, and it's the ancillary duties that we don't realise. Really, they're the ones which make the difference when you're captain. It's you've got to do all the press conferences. You've got to do additional stuff in terms of picking the team, the direction and the strategy work. I assume he's still going to have as much to do as far as the marketing goes, which is a huge part of the time for any big name players in the IPL. But that additional burden of being a captain, that'll be taken away, and that's got to help for his overall work-life balance, because people like him and internationally Joe Root especially, they spend pretty much every day doing something or the other for either their country or their franchise team, and it's got to be really wearing. I think as a captain, he's improved. I think he's all right now. I think he was poor previously. I think he's still.
That's massive praise, Neil.
Most great players don't have the empathy to be good captains, because it's the problem that they used to say about Glenn Hoddle at Chelsea or Frank de Boer at Crystal Palace. They can't understand why other players can't do what they can do. Sachin had that. Lara had that. It takes a certain soft skill to translate what you want in words to your players, and to empathise with them not being as good as you, and finding ways to motivate them.
I mean, in a way, he's obviously got a lot on his plate, and there's 3 different formats in international cricket. If we take away the 100, let's forget that one. 3 formats in international cricket. You're going to have your different players in each one. If you add the IPL on as the other one kind of thing, you've got his Test captain, his ODI captain. At the moment, he's T20I captain. He's also IPL captain. You've got different players in each team. You've got different tactics in each team. By actually just kind of pruning 1 or 2 of those in this case, and just leaving himself with the Test and ODI captaincy, it simplifies his life a little bit now, and he's got a lot less to think about there, hasn't he?
Yes, and to add to that, it's the amount of matches as well. How much India is playing. It's like workload is bizarre. Like hardly any days off, and they are playing so much of cricket. After IPL, within 2 days, we'll be starting with the World Cup. After World Cup, within 2 days, we'll be starting with New Zealand tour. So it's hardly any rest. So it's so much to take, and with cricket fans who India is having, England is having, it's so much to consume. Like for the likes of Root and Kohli's and everyone. Overall, to be honest, I'm not really fan of handing the captaincy to Root, Steve Smith, or maybe Kane Williamson or Kohli. They are just pure batsmen and pure talent. They are doing their best at what they can do at the batting level. But after Dhoni's legacy and Ponting's legacy and everyone, we are expecting a lot from the captainship as well, and not just the batting talent. So I feel they are good as batsmen. I am also not fan of Babar Azam right now leading Pakistan. It's like asking too much from them, and somewhere down the line it is going to impact them. And asking too much from them, I feel they should focus on their batting, and board and everyone should let them bat only.
I mean, it's the obvious appointment, isn't it? Because you basically take your best player, he's guaranteed his place in those formats, and therefore, as a captain, it's never going to be in doubt the fact that you're going to be able to. You're never going to have that query about Babar Azam in the Pakistan side about whether you should pick him or not. So you can understand why they do it, but it's not always the right decision from a captaincy side of things. Neil, in terms of Virat, when we come back into next season, I mean, he said he's going to stay at RCB, I think. And, you would be a brave man at RCB to deny him that opportunity, I think. But it's going to be a very different thing for Virat, isn't he? Walking into that dressing room without the armband, figuratively, being on that pitch without the armbands, without having that focus. He's such an energetic, heart on his sleeve kind of player. It's going to be quite hard, I would imagine, for him to rein himself in and kind of take a backward step.
It depends how much he actually does take that backward step. I don't think on the field he's going to change that much. He'll still be offering advice to whoever comes in. He'll still be geeing up the troops. To be fair, he was doing that before he became captain. Yeah. He was the live wire in the field to counteract the iciness of Dhoni back in the day. I was just thinking. I was wondering who provides that for KKR or for England at the moment to counteract for Morgan. But I think on the field he'll.
Well, I'd imagine it's for KKR. It would be DK, wouldn't it? Dinesh Karthik.
He doesn't seem to be that. He likes a chat, doesn't he? Yeah, we've been hearing him chat all summer. He certainly doesn't stop there, and actually Joss really doesn't shut up either. So they're probably the two.
It actually does seem to be a prerequisite of wicket keepers now. You need to provide that energy behind the stumps. It's part of the job, isn't it? And Dinesh Karthik certainly does that. Just going back to the match today, 138 for 7 from RCB. Never quite looked enough. They ran out of steam in the middle overs, I felt. Kolkata Knight Riders getting home with 2 balls to spare. If we go through, the way Devdutt Padikkal and Virat Kohli got RCB off to a really strong start there, Naman, that looked to be really good. But then, for me, they just ran out of steam a little bit. They just kind of took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, nothing to take over there. I felt, as I mentioned earlier as well, Morgan was brilliant with his captaincy. I felt he bowled Narayan and Chakravarti and Shakib, all three. He bowled to ABD and Maxwell. They just couldn't take them anywhere. Like they struggled to time the ball, to hit the ball. They tried every shot, the reverse sweep and everything. But I felt just these spinners were really good against
Is that brilliant captaincy, Naman, or is that just basically bowling the bowlers that are bowling well for you on the day?
No, I felt it is brilliant captaincy. I felt they studied these players well. They like ABD and Maxwell, they like the pace on the ball, and these are mystery spinners. They are not the easy ones to take away. Maybe Shakib is one-dimensional, but it's not that easy to just come and hit Narayan and this Varun Chakravarti. Narayan bowled the 10th over. Till 14th match, we have not seen.
I think Naman's finally died.
Neil, captaincy from Morgan. It was well planned.
I
disagree.
Narayan's spell today, Neil. Well, you elaborate now.
I don't think it was great captaincy on the field. I think it was great work by Morgan and McCullum in picking the team, because they left themselves with a couple of pacers during the power play. Those guys were always going to get hit. They read the pitch well, knew that whoever bowled in the power play was going to get hit. But then they had 3 quality spinners through the middle, none of whom I think Shakib was the most expensive at a run a ball through his 4, and that's what is that 72 balls at under 72 runs for four wickets. And these are, Maxwell, De Villiers, Kohli, these are supreme players of spin. But they read that the pitch was slow, that there was a little bit of turn. You've got Chakravarti and Narayan who can turn it both ways. Shakib is more orthodox, but he's like Herath. It's all about changes of pace, slight changes of angle, slight changes of spin, just those little differences to differentiate the balls, even though they're only going to be turning from right to left. And they just completely tied them down. 3 absolutely brilliantly aggressive players got completely tied up by excellent bowling to the pitch. So I think it was in reading the pitch well and in picking the team accordingly. Whereas RCB, personally, I think they looked a bowler or 2 short, because I thought Siraj, Harshal, Chahal, absolutely. I think Garton got shown up a bit as a guy who doesn't have the experience on these types of pitches. He doesn't get those really in England to bowl to. Shabazz Ahmed was underused.
Well, he wasn't used at all, was he?
Did they get 1 over out of him or not at all? I mean, wasted there. Christo, I think, just didn't execute. But even then, he's someone who I'd look at as a 6th bowler. You wouldn't want to rely on him for 4 every match. I think the lineup that RCB chose as far as the bowling stocks went, compared to what KKR did, that was the big difference, and that's where you ended up with Christo going for 22 and 1 over, which is the difference between the 2 teams.
I found, Shabazz Ahmed wasn't bowled. Glenn Maxwell bowled 3 overs, none for 25. One thing Glenn Maxwell is, he's quite accurate, but he doesn't really turn the ball, whereas Shabazz Ahmed can turn the ball, and on a turning track, that would make sense to me to actually use the ball, the spinner that actually spins it a little bit. 2 players to finish off with on today's game. Now, man, I love Mohammad Siraj. He annoys me sometimes when he faces up to batsmen and he does those kind of things, but he is fantastic as a bowler. He's gone past 100 T20 wickets today, and that over at the end there, where he got 2 wickets in the 19th over, that actually looked like he was actually going to win the match at one stage. That was a terrific performance from him. Was it the 18th over?
Yes,
I think it was the 18th.
It was 18th over, then Garton bowled, and last was bowled by Kristen, and that is where I feel that Kohli failed as a captain, because he has relied too much on Harshal Patel in the death overs, but the way Narayan took him in that over, he was short of bowlers, and he had bowled Siraj with the new ball itself in the first 6 overs. So only 1 over was left of Siraj, and he had to bowl the 18th to just a short runs. But he is such an improved bowler. He has discovered himself at this level, and yes, he was a strike bowler before Harshal Patel took over in this lineup. He was the go-to bowler for especially Kohli with the new ball. Yes, he's not in that wicket column, but his economy has been brilliant, and he has provided that cushion, you can say, for the second and the third. A good bowler with Chahal and Harshal taking the more load off him. But overall, yes, he has been brilliant, and the confidence, you can see he has done great at the red ball cricket in test matches, and you can see that it is helping him in the IPL as well. So good for RCB. It is going to be interesting whether they retain him or not.
And I mean, he's not in the. Is he in the Indian T20 squad? I don't think he is. Is he, Mohammad Siraj? Why on earth not?
There are only 3 bowlers, as far as I remember. It's Bhuvi, Bumrah, and Shami. And 2 are reserved: Deepak Chahar and Shardul. There's no Siraj yet. Well,
I couldn't pick an Indian squad without having Mohammad Siraj in there. I really couldn't. The other man to just pay a little bit of credit to before we move on from RCB and wave them goodbye, Harshal Patel. What a tournament that he's had. Every single time I if I miss a game, I always know that if I look at a scorecard, he's going to have got two or three, 4 wickets because he's had that kind of tournament. He's just picked up wickets all the way through it now.
Yeah, he's been absolutely superb, especially at the death. I think he's got 2 hat tricks, 2 fifers. In this, it's the stuff of dreams, really. And we've seen Harshal for a number of years now. Was he at Delhi beforehand? And he's been a perfectly serviceable 5th bowler when you've run out of overseas spots. He'll hold up an end pretty well. Won't do anything too spectacular. This season, he's just been absolutely brilliant. He seems to have developed a dipping full toss, the type that Dwayne Bravo does so brilliantly.
And it's his variation of pace as well. He's very good at varying his pace without really looking like he's changed.
And he's going. I wouldn't say towards the end of his career, but he's around 30 now. So he's
31 in 43 days' time.
It just goes to show, you never stop developing. You may not be the finished article to begin with, but you can get better and better. And assuming maybe he gets retained, maybe he doesn't, but he's going to get a life-changing pay packet.
I was going to say, Neil, if you're going to have your best season ever, have it in the final season of the cycle, so that you put yourself right in the middle of that auction, in the frenzy of the auction. He's going to get bid on fairly well. As you say, RCB, if they retain him, you'd imagine they're going to have to pay him one of the big price tags, aren't they? And if he goes back into the auction, there's going to be a few after him.
This is the equivalent of playing a series against India right before the mega auction. We've seen what's happened with Sheldon Cottrell and Hetmeyer, and our friend of the show, Tamal Mills, did the same. And that can make you for life, pretty much, even if you just get the one season. But I think we're going to see more from Harshal. I don't think it doesn't look like gimmicks to me. It looks like he's actually put in the work and developed as a bowler. And this season may be a season too soon. I think to get in the India squad, like Siraj has had a couple of seasons doing very well at T20, but to get in the India squad, you need to do it for a considerable amount of time. We got another World Cup next year.
The other thing with Harshal as well, Neil, sorry to interrupt, but because this IPL has been in 2 distinct chunks. It's not like one season that he's gone through and had a bit of a fluky time, taken a load of wickets and done it all off the bounce. He's had to kind of regroup, stay away for a while, come back and do it on different surfaces as well. That's particularly impressive. I think in two distinct stints, but on 2 distinct different types of services, and he's continued to take wickets all the way through. I think, massive credit to him, and he's going to get the purple cap, because unless somebody takes an 8-for in the final or something, and even that's probably not going to be enough to actually go past him. So I think Harshal Patel, purple cap winner, congratulations to you. And despite the fact that he's going home with his RCB teammates, big plaudits to Harshal Patel for his performances. I was going to say over the last few weeks. It's actually over the last how many months, with a great big hole in the middle of it, isn't it? But this IPL has been a rather strange one. Let's have a quick look ahead to Wednesday, because we've got the qualifier 2. KKR today have put their place into qualifier 2. They take on Delhi Capitals. And as we were coming into these playoffs, Naman, it was both Delhi Capitals and KKR we were describing as the 2 teams with momentum. Obviously, Delhi Capitals lost their first qualifier to Chennai Super Kings, who were waiting there in the final on Friday. But KKR are the team coming through with that momentum as well. So these are 2 form sides. If we disregard that defeat to CSK, these are 2 form sides coming up against each other.
Yes, and to be honest, it is now going to be about temperament, where I feel the KKR is the advantage with Morgan and like of experience they're having with them, Shakib and Karthik as well. Over here, I feel just like we saw yesterday, Pant bowling Tom Curran in the last over, a few of the decisions are going to hurt them. But overall, I feel it is going to be more of temperament. And KKR has won, if I'm not wrong, it was around about the same thing in 2014, where league happened twice. It was half the league in India and half the league in UAE, and it was CSK versus KKR in the final where Manvinder Bisla scored a ton, and KKR went through and won the IPL back in 2014 when Gambhir was leading. So the
No,
scenario is quite
that was
similar over
Punjab,
here.
mate. That was Punjab when Maxwell went mental.
Okay.
But it was
Okay.
KKR, Piyush Chawla winning it at the end.
Okay, against the Punjab. So kind of KKR is what I'm mentioning. They are quite experienced on this kind of wicket because if you will see overall in Eden Gardens as well, this kind of wickets are being produced because that is the reason they go quite spin heavy. And somewhere I'm more disappointed with Rabada. I felt he is not in that wicket column. Much is expected from him. Right now, he's not being seen too much because Nauke and Avesh Khan are bowling quite nicely. He is hiding behind those two bowlers, but somewhere he needs to be into the wicket column and produce those uh, crucial wickets, especially in the KKR likes of Venkatesh Iyer. And I also feel somewhere it's not his fault because if you will see how Pant is using him, he is giving him only 1 over spell in like fourth or fifth over, and then is bringing in the eighth over. Then again 1 over in 12th. So I feel the
my theory with Rabada is, Naman, that his main success in previous IPLs when he's been one of the leading wicket takers, he's taken an inordinate amount of wickets in the death overs. And at the moment, Rishabh's giving him one death over and then telling him to go away, isn't he? And that doesn't really help Kahisa Rabada. Does it help, Neil, that KKR seem to have a team for Sharjah and this final playoff is in Sharjah?
Yeah, yes and no. Also on KG, I think he's a world-class Test and ODI bowler, but just a very good T20 bowler whose reputation from the other formats carries over a bit more than his performances do.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to let you get away with that because you look at previous wicket-taking tallies in the IPL over the last 2 or 3 seasons. He's right up there.
His wicket-taking is he gets a lot of what you may consider junk wickets, the lower order at the end.
Because he gets wickets at the death. I don't care if they're junk wickets. He gets wickets.
A wicket in the last over saves less runs than a wicket 5 overs before.
It still saves runs and it's still a wicket.
It's still a wicket in the stats. Yeah, I think actually KKR do have a team built for Sharjah in terms of the spinners, and especially Shakib offering on both sides. I do think that against Delhi, it's a worse matchup because RCB had a lot of right-handers, especially the best players of spin in the team are right-handers, as much as Maxwell switches over quite a bit. But with Delhi, you've got Dhawan, you've got Pant, you've got Hetmeyer, you've got Axer, who are all left-handed, and I think that Shakib is going to be less effective against those bowlers. At the same time, Delhi also have their own selection issues from the last game where they picked 6 bowlers and bringing in Tom Curran when you add 5 full-time bowlers deprived them of an extra batter who could have freed up Pant and Hetmeyer to go a bit earlier. Possibly they got a few less. So both of them have got something to think about there. I honestly can't pick it between the two at the moment. I'm edging towards KKR because I don't think Rabada's been as good in this second half of the tournament as you'd hope, and I think Avesh also has seemed just at the crunch moments to be a little bit off. I think Nortje has been absolutely.
I think Avesh has had his confidence dented a little bit, hasn't he, over the last couple of games? And confidence is huge, isn't it? And when you're bowling those death overs, having that belief inside your head when you're running into bowl, rather than having the doubt inside your head. And I think Avesh is kind of replacing some of that belief with doubt at the moment. And that's not necessarily a healthy position for him to be in. But they've got Tom Curran, so everything is good with the will for Delhi Capitals. Let's finish off then with your prediction on who wins, KKR or Delhi Capitals. Naman.
I also will say KKR. I see Russell coming in for Shakib as he rightly mentioned by Neil. Shakib is not going to be that effective with against these left-handers. They'll take him for plenty. The same reason why Shahbaz didn't bowl today because KKR have too many left-handers today and he was not used at all. So I feel Russell is going to be the X factor and they'll play their best 11. It's advantage KKR for me.
KKR for you, KKR for Neil. And to be honest, despite the fact I've been saying Delhi Capitals are going to see it all the way through, I'm starting to wonder whether KKR have just built up the set of steam at the right time. Owen Morgan isn't contributing at all with the bat, but he's steering them through in terms of his tactical nous. And they've got a very good side building confidence as they go on. But a run always finishes somewhere. Whether it'll be Wednesday or Friday, where will it finish? Or will it be the next incarnation with almost a completely different side? We'll have to find out on Wednesday, won't we? We're going to be back tomorrow on the IPL dailies. We're missing Wednesday because both myself and Nakul are tied up doing something else. But we're going to have a catch-all Thursday. We're going to basically look back on Wednesday's match on Thursday, look ahead to the final, and then on Friday, after the final, it's party time. We're going to give out our awards as we always do at the end of tournaments for the best batsman, bowler, fielder, blah 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 blah, and all of the badges that you've seen over this tournament in its two incarnations. We'll be voting for their favourites. Neil.
Yep. One thing just off the back of especially today's match, but also the previous matches that we've had since we've come to the Middle East, is Sunil Narine did not make the West Indies initial squad, but has arguably been the best player since they've started playing the second half of the IPL. I think he's probably the best. Him and Malinga are probably the best two bowlers to have played the formats ever. So it would be wonderful if he was a bolter to make the final squad. We've seen Pakistan make a few changes. And if the West Indies do, I saw someone ask on Twitter, does that make them favourites if they've got the best ever spinner bowling well and their lineup?
Fair play to Sunil, because he's had all of the controversy about his action. He was kind of suspended and had to remodel it. And it looks a very different action to the one he had before. He's pretty much almost had to teach himself how to bowl again, hasn't he? And he's come back just as good a player. And that takes a lot of doing, I think. So massive kudos to Sunil Narine. Man of the match today was Narine for his 26, I think it was, with the bat, and his 4 wickets with the ball as well. It steered KKR through to Wednesday's match. Neil and Naman, thank you very much, as always, for joining me on 2 of my regulars on the IPL 2021 daily podcasts. As I say, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday, and then it's party time on Friday when we give out the awards. You'll be able to tune in and see Neil and Naman in their favourite ball gowns as we give out the awards in our all-star glitzy awards ceremony. But join us before then. Join us tomorrow with more IPL chat. See you then.